welcome to the Aragon Analytics channel. A while back, or actually not too long ago, I did a quick video describing how to put a mirror polished edge on a knife blade by using a Flitz hack that I kind of came up with on my own. Basically what that entailed was using one of these somewhat worn out polishing, or actually honing belts, which start out looking more like this. And basically what you want to do is hang on to this thing when it looks all black and worn out, and then add some Flitz to it. And I just decided that maybe it would be a good idea to go through the whole knife sharpening process. So without further ado, this is what I do with the majority of my knives. I've found that on a lot of the knives that I use, the best setting on this Ken Onion Work Sharp is usually at the 22.5 degree setting. That seems to put a very durable and yet still hair popping sharp edge on a knife blade. Now unfortunately for me, I've already sharpened this particular knife, and as you'll see, it's already very sharp. So what I'm going to have to do with this knife, this cold steel Espada, is I'm going to have to dull the knife deliberately, and then I'll go through the whole sharpening process, and hopefully that won't be too awful boring for everyone. So anyway, well, here goes. I'm going to start by saying if you follow the directions in the Ken Onion, they'll tell you that this belt here is essentially only for use on tools. It's the coarsest belt that they have. This one's actually kind of a little bit worn out, but what I'm going to use it for, I've found that if you have to completely reprofile, not just sharpen, but reprofile a blade, as long as you use the speed setting down here, kind of tone it down a bit, you can use this at the starting stages to kind of reprofile your knife. This is very painful for me to do. But anyway, this is not part of the reprofiling process, this is just the dulling process. And that's a horrible sound. Okay, let's see what that did. Get a piece of paper, I can't believe I'm doing this. What I won't do for my YouTube audience. Alright, maybe one more pass because it did cut a little bit. Yeah, that I'm actually drawing my. Yeah, that's dull. Trust me, folks, that's completely dull. So with this thing set at its 22.5 degrees, anyway, for tactical and outdoor knife use, I found that the 22.5 is a good compromise. 15 degree is good for like kitchen knives, something with a full flat grind. But anyway, here we go with this really coarse belt, and since I've totally annihilated the edge on this thing, we'll get started. What you want to do is make sure that you're not digging into this portion of the blade. And one thing on this Ken Onion, these little ears here, the angle guides, they do move. So, you know, you can apply a little bit of, just enough pressure to feel that the knife is up against the blade guide. You don't want to torque it over, because then you're going to increase the angle. So you want to just lay it lightly against that blade guide. Oops, a little too high on the speed there. Let's see what we're doing here. Now, as far as on the speed, what you can do is every couple of passes, touch the blade, obviously not that way, touch the blade to your forearm. It's kind of what I call the baby milk test. If the knife blade is getting a little too warm, slow down on the rate that you're doing your passes, and slow down don't slow down the rate that you're pulling it through, but put more time in between passes and lower the speed that you're doing this with. Now we did about 10 passes on the other side, so see, mine is a little worn out, so that little dial adjustment at the bottom is a little worn on mine, so every time, once in a while, it'll slip up into high speed. So. You'll occasionally want to examine your blade, see where you're at with the sharpening process. The other thing you'll want to do occasionally is take a paper towel, especially if you're doing this coarse reprofiling, and clean out the blade guides to get some of that ground metal and abrasive material out of there so that you don't end up scoring the side of your blade. So I'm gonna give it another 10 passes. I really blunted this thing to totally dull, like beyond butter knife dull. So let's go. Now, as I'm drawing the blade through, I don't know if the camera angle is getting it. As you draw the blade through, you want to make sure that you start slowing down the belt with your trigger finger here, right about here. You don't want to run the knife all the way through the sharpener without making sure that the belt has stopped spinning. Otherwise, you're going to round off the tip of your blade. Go ahead and change the belt out here. We'll go to what the maker considers its profiling blade. We'll just set an arbitrary number of, say, 7 passes per side here. before we move on to the next belt. See how we're doing with the edge so far. And we're getting there. And at this stage of the game, it has a really nasty burr on it. So we're going to go to the next belt. This is the X22, what they call the sharpening belt. Definite burr. Okay, so now we're going to move from the X22 or the sharpening belt onto the honing belt. And this I tend to I just let this one fly. The abrasive's not that much on this belt, so it doesn't end up transferring a lot of heat or creating a lot of heat on the blade. So and what you want to do is, instead of doing 7 or 10 passes aside, once you get to the honing belt, you want to go right, left, or left, right, whatever your preference is. You want to alternate sides. And you really want to, as much as you want to make sure that you're maintaining a constant angle and not over torquing this thing in the blade guide, when you're doing the honing, you want to be extra special careful. Okay, getting there. Now the fun part. Take your worn out honing belt, or stropping belt, whatever you want to call it. This one is, basically all the abrasive is worn off of it. You're going to take a very small amount of Flitz. And you're going to put a very small amount of Flitz on the belt. Excuse me. And it helps to have a little bit of paper towel around it. Make sure you don't get Flitz down inside the contoured part of your knife there, your knife scales. Now with that Flitz on there, you can really just let this thing fly, because it's not going to generate heat on the edge. See where we're at. One downside to using the Flitz is it does get inside the blade guides, so you are going to have to clean it out. It's not a big deal, not a huge deal. The upside to doing this is, even though you know most of the Flitz is kind of worn off of the belt here, it's still like an ultra high grade, ultra fine belt now. So even though there's not a lot of Flitz on there, just for stropping and tuning up your edge, just a couple passes like that on what you think might be a dull knife probably bring it back to that really uber keen edge that you're looking for. Okay, so copy paper, that's easy enough. Let's get something different. Get some catalog paper out here. Just effortless cutting. Of course, I had to pick the rough side. Now you got to remember, this is not a premium steel. This is Aus-8 or Aus-8A or whatever the friggin' hell cold steel used to use before the CTS XHP. So you know, it's not a super premium steel. Let's see if we got any hair left on this arm here. So yeah. Definitely very much gone from completely dull to hair shaving sharp in a relatively small amount of time. And I'm going to try and get some different angles here. There's still some Flitz left on the blade. You want to carefully remove that because it's really not great, especially if on a food preparation knife. You want to wash the knife thoroughly. On a tactical blade, you'll want to completely wipe it down and then add whatever. I generally use frog lube as a protectant. And there you have it, folks. That's how I put a mirror polished edge on a completely dull knife in just a few minutes with the work sharp and Flitz. So thanks for coming by to take a look at this technique, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.